Welcome to RPG X. Today we're counting down our picks for the best turn-based RPGs that you should check out, and without further ado, let's dive right in. Final Fantasy VII. Before I continue, I want to explain what I mean when I say RPG first and not strategy in the title. Basically, other creators love to put strategy games into their best turn-based RPGs lists, and I kinda hate that. On this channel, we prioritize games that are primarily RPGs that may borrow elements from other genres, not the other way around. In short, the role-playing aspect is still the main attraction. So yeah, there will be no XCOM games here. Anyway, if you want to see where modern JRPGs got half their DNA from, then check this one out. The Thaumaturge. Now, this one isn't trying to blow your mind with some crazy mechanics or deep galaxy brain combat systems. The turn-based combat is simple, clean, and straightforward, and that's exactly the point. If you like your RPG battles easy to follow so you can focus on the narrative, this will hit the spot. And what makes it stand out, though, is the setting. Instead of knights and dragons, you're in early 1900s Warsaw. Grounded, gritty, and layered with just enough supernatural mystery to keep things interesting. Overall, for a AA game, it feels like a nice breath of air in the genre. Final Fantasy IX. Alright, the combat in this game is known to be slow, like really slow by modern standards, but that's the deal with classic JRPGs. This isn't about turbo speed action or instant dopamine hits. This is about story, world building, charm, and immersion. So yeah, strategy games put gameplay first, but RPGs like this put heart first. And if you need constant explosions and flashy combos every 2 seconds, skip this one. But if you're mature enough to appreciate a slower pace, lovable characters, and one of the most heartfelt stories in the Final Fantasy series, then this game still hits. Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD Remaster. Okay, this compilation takes the classic PS2 duology and repackages it for modern platforms, so you don't need to dig up your old memory card and PS2. And if you're hunting for peak traditional turn-based Final Fantasy combat, then this is the one the hardcore RPG crowd always brings up. I mean, the battle system is clean, strategic, and honestly the most refined turn-based setup in the entire series. And obviously, the story hits hard, and the world is beautiful even today. So yeah, if you want a textbook example of classic turn-based JRPG greatness, start here.
My blade sings. Time to strike.
Octopath Traveler 2. Alright, if you love traditional turn-based JRPGs, then this one is like a warm bowl of nostalgia with extra seasoning. It basically looked at the first game and decided to fix the annoying parts, and now the combat is smoother, smarter, and you can even crank the speed to 2 times if patience isn't one of your virtues. Also, it feels way more open than the first one, letting you explore at your own pace instead of feeling stuck in 8 little story bubbles. So yeah, with beautiful visuals, great music, and polished combat, honestly, this is a must-play.
Everyone.
Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Now, a lot of younger players look at this game and will say that it's old and retro. Yeah, no kidding, that's literally the point. This is a remake of a legendary JRPG, polished up with gorgeous HD 2D visuals and tons of quality of life improvements, but at its core, it's still the same classic NES adventure. So yeah, don't walk in expecting a modern cinematic experience or flashy combat. This is pure traditional JRPG DNA, simple, charming, and incredibly addictive once you get into it. So go in with the right mindset, and you'll see why old school fans treat this game like royalty. Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. Now, mainstream RPG fans will scream that FF7 is peak Final Fantasy, but ask the older gamers, the ones with back pain, reading glasses, and war stories about dial-up internet, and they'll swear this is the real king. Before Final Fantasy VII turned the series mainstream, Final Fantasy VI was the heavyweight champion. And the Pixel Remaster doesn't reinvent anything, it just cleans it up with nicer visuals, better audio, and loads of QOL tweaks. So yeah, don't expect modern flash or cinematic drama, because this one is a slow burn and emotional old-school classic. Right, Grandpa? Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. Yeah, the PoE series was originally real-time with pause. That's the proper way to play according to people who treat video game settings like the Bible. But then Obsidian added a full turn-based mode, and honestly, it works shockingly well. It's slower, more tactical, and way friendlier if you like to think before you click. But just be warned, turn-based mode turns this already massive RPG into a borderline life commitment. So if you thought this game was long before, try switching to turn-based and suddenly you're aging in real time with your character. Still, if you love turn-based combat, it's absolutely worth it.
You're dumb fool.
Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. Alright, this one leans hard into tactical grid combat, but don't get it twisted, this is an actual RPG, not some strategy game that's just slapped on with story and stats. This is a tactical RPG in its purest form. Deep story, deep systems, and deep pain when you make a mistake. And yes, this release sits somewhere between a remaster and a remake. It has modernized visuals and smoother performance, but it's still absolutely rooted in that classic style. So yeah, if you care about smart combat and one of the best stories in the entire genre, don't skip this. Fire Emblem, 3 Houses. Now, this is one of the few actual tactical RPGs out there, not a tactical strategy game pretending to be an RPG just because someone slapped XP bars and skills on it. I mean, a lot of people still confuse the genres, even gaming creators. Anyway, this one leans way more into the JRPG side than past titles. You're not just moving chess pieces and praying the RNG gods bless you, you're building relationships, making choices, and actually shaping characters instead of just units. So yeah, if you want a tactical RPG that's truly an RPG at its core, this one delivers hard.
Come on now. Okay.
Yakuza Like a Dragon. Alright, this is one of the most unique RPG experiences ever made. Forget dragons and medieval kingdoms, this is about Yakuza life, street drama, real-world struggles, and a ridiculous amount of comedy sprinkled in. It also breaks from the main series by going full turn-based, and somehow, it fits perfectly. The story also hits hard for older guys who've already been smacked by reality. You know, bills, responsibilities, failed dreams, and back pain. So yeah, if you still live in your parents' house and spend your days fantasizing about saving the world from an evil Dark Lord, you might not get it. Persona 3 Reload. This remake finally lets old-school fans relive the nostalgia from the original, but now with tons of quality of life improvements. And no, it's not Persona 5, but it doesn't need to be. Every Persona game has its own flavor, and P3 Reload keeps that darker tone and emotional weight that made it special in the first place. And look, if you were a dork with social anxiety who got ignored back in school, then this is your redemption arc. Now you can make friends, talk to pretty girls, and pretend you actually had a fun and interesting school life for once.
Follow my lead.
Got it.
Trails in the Sky First Chapter. Alright, the Trails series isn't as mainstream as Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, but people who actually know their JRPGs swear by it. Why? Because it nails exactly what the target audience wants. A cozy, colorful world, friends who actually care about you, girls showing affection, and a protagonist who gradually becomes that cool, reliable guy who saves the day. And no, the politics aren't as deep as fans pretend, but when your fan base is mostly self-proclaimed Sigma males who are disconnected from the real world, anything looks complex. Either way, it hits the fantasy perfectly. Sea of Stars. Now, this game really splits people, even among JRPG fans. Some say it's a heartfelt homage to the classics, while others think it's overhyped and full of flaws. And honestly, both sides kind of have a point. Maybe people were starving so badly for a classic-style hit that they lowered their standards. Or maybe this really is the simple, charming throwback the genre needed. Who knows? Anyway, what's clear is that this game is a giant love letter to SNES-era JRPGs. You know, turn-based battles, pixel art, and those nostalgic vibes. So yeah, if you want that retro feel, this scratches the itch. The Legend of Heroes trails through Daybreak. Okay, this entry shakes things up by introducing action-based combat that can be switched to the classic turn-based system. Kind of the best of both worlds, you know. But don't worry, this series lives and dies by its turn-based combat, so that's still the stronger aspect. And like every Trails game, it nails exactly what its audience shows up for. Character relationships that slowly build, wholesome friendships, romance with pretty anime girls, a sense of purpose, and that comforting feeling of being supported and appreciated. So yeah, with all the tropes firing at once, this is basically the greatest copium ever. Chained Echoes. Alright, now this is the game people love to bring up when they want to flex on Sea of Stars fans. They say this one is the better modern retro JRPG, and honestly, they're kinda right. The combat system is tight, the pacing is punchy, and the mechanics feel way more thoughtfully designed. And sure, some people swear the story and dialogue are incredible. But let's be real, a lot of them haven't touched a book or interacted with actual adults since high school. I mean, it's fine, but it's definitely not peak literature. But still, this is absolutely a must-try. Chrono Trigger. Now, this one holds a sacred spot in gaming history, but a lot of younger gamers bounce off it immediately because of the visuals, the pacing, and the simplicity, and honestly, that's their loss. Back in its era, this wasn't just a good JRPG, this was the JRPG. Seriously, it was a dream team project made by some of the brightest minds in the industry, all at their peak. And yes, people are still preaching its greatness decades later, and there's a reason for that. So yeah, if you genuinely love turn-based RPGs, this one isn't optional. It's a mandatory pilgrimage. Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age. Alright, this one is old school JRPG DNA wrapped in modern visuals, so yeah, don't come in expecting some wild, reinvented RPG experience with a super complex story and gameplay. This one proudly sticks to the classics with its turn-based combat, charming characters, and that wholesome vibe that feels like warm soup for the soul. And honestly, it's the perfect game to play in bed on your Switch before sleeping. It's cozy, comfy, and relaxing. Basically the opposite of hardcore Western CRPGs that demand full focus and mental energy. So yeah, give it a go if you're not a hardcore player. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. Okay, let's get this straight. The SMT series was never meant to be Persona. If you're coming here expecting slice-of-life school drama and social links, you're in the wrong neighborhood. SMT is about pure gameplay. Tough battles, brutal dungeon runs, demon fusion, and an atmosphere so bleak it makes coffee taste sad. And yeah, the story here isn't going to win awards. It's fine, but that's not why you play it. What does hit hard is the turn-based combat. It's strategic, punishing, and extremely satisfying when you outplay the game instead of the other way around. So, yeah, ignore the comparisons. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Yeah, the story didn't hit as hard this time. We get it. You missed the emotional gut punches from the previous game. but let's not act like the rest of the game didn't glow up hard. The combat, way faster and smoother. The classes, way more fun. The side content, absolutely unhinged in the best way. You've got Pokemon parodies, island management, and karaoke that slaps harder than your dad's belt. Simply put, the main story's a bit softer, but everything else got turned up to 11. Oh, and now you're also in Hawaii, so that's a plus. Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. This one is the new kid on the block, and it's already making the veterans sweat. The story goes hard. It's surreal, emotional, and stylish without trying too hard. Every scene looks like it belongs in an art gallery that also sells antidepressants. The combat is turn-based, but with time-based parries and dodges that keep you locked in from start to finish. However, people are hyping this game so much it's starting to sound suspicious. Some even think it's a psyop cooked up by the industry. Either way, it's real, it's fire, and it might be the future of turn-based RPGs.
Stand waiting.
3 remaining.
Metaphor, ReFantazio. Okay, Metaphor is basically Persona wearing medieval armor. Same DNA, same energy, and same soul. Just swap the school uniforms for fantasy outfits and replace exams with kingdom-level drama. So, if you love Persona's style, character bonding, and emotional beats, this feels instantly familiar. But don't think it's just a reskin. The world building hits different, the tone is more mythic, and the combat blends turn-based strategy with dynamic decisions. Simply put, it's Persona vibes, but with combat similar to SMT. So yeah, if you want a stylish, emotional, turn-based RPG, then this is it. Divinity, Original Sin 2, Definitive Edition. Most casual gamers have never touched this game. Hell, half of them have probably never heard of it. But in the RPG world, it's one of the most praised CRPGs ever made, with turn-based combat that's actually fun, writing that doesn't make you cringe, and choices that change everything. Not only that, but the amount of freedom here is also insane. You can kill anyone, go anywhere, and solve problems however you want. It's basically a D&D campaign with god-tier production value. So yeah, if you care about real RPGs, this isn't optional. This is required reading. Go play it.
That's your weakness, Panther.
Persona 5 Royal. Let's be real. If you're watching this and have an anime profile pic, you've probably played this 5 times already. This game is peak weeb energy, and somehow it actually pulled in Western players who usually think JRPGs are just turn-based chores with bad voice acting. But here, everything hits. The combat is fast, the characters are memorable, the music is straight heat, and the whole thing oozes style. Royal adds even more content, fixing stuff you didn't even know was broken. So yeah, even if you roll your eyes at anime nonsense, this one still goes hard.
Feeling. Yeah! Victory!
Tormented.
Baldur's Gate 3. Now, this is the isometric CRPG that brought real RPGs back into the spotlight. It didn't just win awards, it swept them. Everyone's praising it, whether they're hardcore old-school nerds who grew up on dice rolls or total newcomers who just found out what turn-based even means. The writing's sharp, the choices actually matter, and the amount of freedom is ridiculous. It's funny, brutal, emotional, and chaotic all at once. Basically, this isn't just a good RPG, it is the standard now. So, if you want to know what peak modern RPG looks like, it's this. Everything else is just playing catch-up. So do you agree with our picks? Check out these other videos from us and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.